Happy Friday, everybody. Joseph Robert, the fantasy football counselor, online here with Jim, a.k.a. the Maverick. What is going on, Jim?
Hey, man, I'm ready to enjoy this weekend. I don't know about you. This week has been super crazy busy, so I'm happy that we're coming to the end of it.
Yeah, man.
I still got to make it through today, though.
It's been crazy. The NFL draft is now set. We are laying out the 16-round plus and 16-round draft solution. But this video particularly, we are talking about best ball. We got 5 big winning tips to help you guys dominate best ball. This is a best ball strategy video. If you guys do best ball, if you guys compete in best ball, this is a good video that's going to give you some real good insight and some practical strategies to help you get an advantage, right? So this is more theoretical. It's not just player oriented specifically. That's where 16-round draft solution comes in, 16-round plus. This is more of a practical strategy perspective. And Jim does a lot of best ball, and he's the guy that developed the app. So no one better to talk to than Jim about this one. So he's going to go over the 5 tips. I'll chime in on them as well. And Jim, I'm excited, man. Best ball's here and football's here.
Yeah, I gotta say, man. I've only been doing best ball for about 3 seasons now, and I love it. One of the nice things about it is, when you're doing regular fantasy football, there's a limit to how many teams you can effectively manage. There's only so many you can do. But with best ball, there is no limit because you know what? There's no managing your team. All it is you go in, you do a draft. It's usually 18 to 20 rounds. You pick your players, and then that's it. Then it becomes a horse race. Basically, all you're trying to do is score as many points as you can over the course of the fantasy season, and that's how you win. You got to be in the top 2 places to win money. Yeah. So I very much enjoy it because my favorite part of fantasy football is the draft. And you can go in, they got drafts running all the time right now across multiple platforms. So you should definitely check it out. And have you ever done a best ball?
Yeah, I do. I tend to forget about them because it's set it and forget it. So I tend to leave that best ball team and I tend not to look because I'm so busy managing the 10 other teams that I'm doing where I have to manage.
Right.
But yeah, I get into it every year. I always draft a team. I like it that you can add depth. But I want to give everybody, for people who don't know, what is best ball? Can you give us kind of a definition of what it is and what the exact differentiation is, other than I get it, it's set it, forget it, I get it, but I want everyone who doesn't know what it is to really understand what is best ball.
So in best ball, you have a fantasy football team. You've got starting roster slots, just like you do in regular fantasy football, and you got bench slots. But basically what the system does is it automatically starts the highest scoring players in each position. So let's say you have 3 quarterbacks in your best ball league. It will take the highest scoring quarterback and slot it into your quarterback slot. Same with your running backs, same with your wide receivers, same with your tight end, and then there's usually a flex as well. So basically, that's why it's great, because you don't need to worry about, should I start this player or this player? It's just automatically decided for you. It will be whichever player scores the most points is the one that's going to be the starter for you.
Yeah, so many people tell me, they're like, hey, Joe, I love fantasy. I've heard of it. I had a league. I can't play it anymore. There's no time. Always got to make time for fantasy. It's an amazing time, by the way, to escape reality, have fun. There's always time for fantasy. But some people say, well, Joe, I don't have time anymore to get into fantasy. You hear those people, because I'm a fantasy football analyst. I ask them, right? I'm always talking about it. And some people are like, yeah, I gave up on it. I didn't have time. This is a great way to get into it. You do your draft. You still have the experience of the draft. You set it, you forget it, and away you go for the whole season.
Yeah, and another big difference with best ball leagues is that there's no head-to-head matchups. In regular fantasy football, you're matched up against another team. You got to score more points than that team to get get the win. In best ball, it's a horse race. Okay, so it's just it's whoever scores the most points, and that you have a leaderboard, essentially, is what you have, and you want to be at the top of that leaderboard. You want to be a player you want to be a team that's consistently scoring the most points, and you have to sustain it through the full 17 weeks, which is probably the biggest challenge in my opinion, man. I can't tell you how many times I've got a team that's doing great, and then all of a sudden one quarterback gets injured. I only have one left. And then the other quarterback gets injured and I've got no quarterback to start. And it's just it's brutal, because you're like, dang it, this is a really good team. So you got to make sure you have plenty of depth in all your positions, and that you have the opportunity, that you have enough players with a lot of upside opportunity to be able to win you and get you points, get you as many points as possible.
All right, so let's start off with the tips. Before we do, I just want to say here, guys, if you haven't gotten 60-round draft solution, grab it right now. It's secure it below, and it's going to help you guys crush your leagues, period. And you can use the code right now. The code is SMASH, 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 so you can smash your leagues. And when you're in there, I'll prompt you guys to get the 60-round plus tool, which will help you guys with your best ball drafts. And also, if you guys haven't noticed, if you're watching on YouTube, I am representing Atlanta. I had this hat years ago representing Julio Jones. I'm wearing it again for Jan Robinson, Bijan, who replied back to one of my comments on Instagram where I said that he's a real one. He replied back and gave me a salute and a thumbs up or whatever it was. Jan's a real deal. Nice guy, humble. I'm excited. He's a God-fearing man. He's just a humble guy. I love him, man, and I'm excited about him. So I'm wearing the hat, but Jim is wearing this shirt. And if you're watching, it's probably going to bug you through the whole episode. So let's get it out of the way. What is going on? Is that a dude on there? Like, what is he doing? Is he like doing a wave here? Is he talking about how big he is, or what's going on?
These are water skiing ladies. They're out there water skiing. They got they're holding they're like doing one of this kind of thing,
Well, it's hard to tell from this 1080. We're shooting 1080p here, so it's kind of hard to see, but. There it is. Okay.
You see him? Yeah. Lovely ladies. I love them.
So Jim is a ladies' man. That's the whole point of this. He's a ladies' man. Okay. Tons of ladies all over.
Don't tell my wife.
I won't. The shirt speaks for itself, Jim. I think you're in trouble already. Yeah. All right. So let's talk about tip number one. Best ball. What is the tip number one here to help people crush their best ball leagues?
Well, one of the most important things, and this is something that is really important in regular fantasy football, but it just does not matter in best ball, and that is the consistency of your players. So, when you have to make the decision as to whether or not you want to start a player in fantasy football, you need consistent players so you can trust them, that you can trust to put them into your starting slots and they will perform for you. But in best ball, because it's automatically done, because it automatically chooses the highest scoring player, it doesn't matter. And actually inconsistent players can be beneficial because they'll give you those boom weeks and get you all the points on the boom weeks. And then if they have a week where they disappear, they're just on the bench. So, when it comes to like the app, we have the Cuddy score where players are scoring points according to consistency, upside, durability, depth chart, and youth. In best ball, we have a best ball mode on the app. It only rates players according to the UDI system. We exclude the C, and we increase the importance of the durability and the upside on the players.
Hold on a second. So basically, best ball butchers the Cuddy system. It takes away the C out of Cuddy and makes it UDI. This is unbelievable.
It like I said, the consistency does not matter, and inconsistent players can be really good for best ball. Think about like those players, like a player like Mike Evans, who was kind of just terrible like the whole season last year. But then in week 17, he went and he scored like 55 points. That's great. He gets you that. He would then in best ball would have been right in your starting lineup, would have gotten you those full 55 points. On those dud weeks, he would have sat on your bench. Obviously, you want a guy that's going to give you more than one boom week, but it's that sort of idea. It's just points. That's all you want. You want as many points as you can get, and that's how you do it.
All right. So you guys got tip number one, right? Everybody got it? Drop a comment below if this is making sense to you. Let us know if you play best ball. Want to get that engraved. Tip number two: how do you win your best ball leagues? The things you really need to focus on are durability and upside. Durability is so important because, again, it's a long season. It's 17 weeks, and you got to choose a team where most of these guys will make it through and play the full time. You don't want injured players. You don't want unreliable players that miss a lot of time. You need guys that can go the distance. And so, again, going back to the app, when we do in the UDI rating, we've taken away the C, but we've increased the points that you'll score for good durability and good upside. So the scores are different
in the best ball mode. But again, these are the things that are emphasized and important to consider when you're looking at players.
Definitely. All right. Tip number 3.
Tip number 3, you need to be sure to cover all your bye weeks. And I know the schedule just came out yesterday. That's great. We now know what the bye weeks are. I'm going to have them in the app probably early next week. They'll be all the updated bye weeks will be in the app next week. But you want to be sure that if you take a quarterback and his bye week is 8, you don't take the backup quarterback also with the bye week of 8. You need to
You're gonna lose the week.
If losing a week with a quarterback is devastating, it's so hard to recover from that because you're talking like 20 plus points that you're going to lose, and often that is the difference. So you got to be sure you've got enough players at each position to fully cover every week of the year, and it is just something that you need to pay attention to, especially with like the tight end quarterback position where you're only going to have like maybe 2 or 3 players in those positions. So real important.
Maybe you'll get to this tip there, but because we didn't go over your tips before. But yeah, I mean, depth is so crucial here, and making sure that you stack properly and make sure that your bye weeks are covered. And this is a huge thing where you got to have a backup plan for a backup plan for a backup plan. Always make sure you're secure. There's a safety net for a safety net so that everything is covered and maximized and optimized. And you don't want to be in a best ball league where you draft, let's say, 1 tight end. I don't know if by default does it force you to draft multiple? But let's say you draft 1 tight end and that tight end gets hurt. Now you're screwed at the tight end position for the whole season. So depth is crucial. Maybe you're going to get to that later on. But again, depth is so important for this. It's crazy.
And so again, I have sort of an optimal strategy for what I want to draft in my fantasy drafts. And so in a typical single quarterback best ball league, I try to draft myself 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 wide receivers, and 3 tight ends. And so I find that will be able to fully cover things. I always try to go and get myself an elite quarterback, and then I take one right about the midpoint of the draft, like round 11, round 12, and then I round it out with one more at the end. I'm just trying to find 3 durable guys, and that tends to give me enough confidence that this team can make it through all the weeks, fully rostered in every position. So that's what I look at.
All right, let's move on to tip number 4 to dominate your best ball league.
Tip number 4 is sacrifice the tight end. Don't spend, unless you're getting Travis Kelce, right? If you go get Travis Kelce, great. Go ahead and do that. But the tight end position is such a low volume, low scoring position. You shouldn't spend any of your premium picks, any of those top 10 picks on a tight end unless it's Travis Kelce, just because it's not going to be worth it. It's just not going to give you enough points. And what I say in fantasy football in general, tight end position is filled with a bunch of jags. It's filled with a bunch of guys that are going to give you 50 catches, 500 yards, and 5 touchdowns. And those, for fantasy football purposes, those guys are irrelevant unless they score you a touchdown on a given week. But in best ball, what I like to do is I like to get myself 3 jags. I get myself 3 jags at the end of the draft after pick 10, and hopefully those guys will have enough of an overlap that one of the 3 can get you a touchdown every week. That's the dream. Doesn't always happen, but to spend a 4th or 5th round pick on a guy that's maybe going to get you 90 targets, 95 targets in a year, it's just not worth it, especially in best. Go for these guys that'll just go for these guys. And there's so many of them at the end of the draft. There's a plethora of them, just all hanging out there. They're all worth about the same. Just grab 3 good ones, 3 durable guys that play every game, and you should be fine.
Definitely. There's a big fall off after Travis Kelce. It's a bit of a crapshoot as soon as, the Travis Kelce name is called out, and it's like, okay, let's roll the dice. So you might as well roll the dice, I think, in later rounds.
Yeah. And I mean, even like the number 4 tight end right now this year is George Kittle, and he's only projected to get like 95 targets. And he's going like in the 4th or 5th round. He's going against wide receivers that are going to get you 130, 120 targets right in that range. And so you're going to sacrifice all this volume for some guy that's going to be really inconsistent because there's not enough volume. And why not just wait? Just wait. And there's a lot of decent guys after pick 10, no problem.
All right, Jim, to bring the championship home, what is the final tip here to win your best ball league? How do you get the edge, the advantage? What else can we do? Bring it home.
Well, the final tip is you got to get the 16 rounds plus app. I'm telling you what,
the plug.
It's going to make the difference. I'm plugging it right now because we do have we've got none at all. I got no shame. It has a best ball mode. It's specifically designed for best ball leagues. One of the things about best ball leagues is even though they're typically just half-point PPR leagues, they draft like a full PPR league. It's very heavy wide receiver, they go very light on running backs early, and because of that, use it to your advantage because you can wait and get fantastic running backs later than you think. Like, for instance, I was picking 10th in a 12-team league last night, and I got Najee Harris in the 3rd, and I got Dameon Pierce in the 5th as my 2 starting running backs. I'm like, that's a fantastic starting combo. 2 guys with 200-plus touches each, plus roles in the passing game. That's exactly what I want. And I was able to load up. I got myself CeeDee Lamb. I got myself, who else did I get? I went CeeDee Lamb first. Then I got Josh Allen, so I got my elite rushing quarterback. Then I got Najee, and who did I get 4th? I can't remember who I got 4th. I got
RB1 round 3. I like that.
Yeah, and I got Amari Cooper 4th. Who again? Amari Cooper is not a guy I like in regular fantasy football because he's inconsistent. But in best ball, he's fine. He's going to get a lot of volume. He's going to have a lot of boom weeks. I'm totally great with him. Then I got Dameon Pierce 5th, and I got Chris Godwin 6th. I totally nailed my top 6. I was very happy with that. And I ended up, I also got Cam Akers and A.J. Dillon as my next 2 running backs in the second half of, in picks 6 through 10. It was actually a really great draft. It went really, really well. I was very happy with how the team built out. So
now people are going to jump in. I don't like Cam Akers. I don't trust Cam Akers. Everyone's got a different opinion, but there's some upside there. But you're going to have other options in the app to choose. He just happened to choose those people. Now, whether you
I've been very biased towards both Cam Akers and AJ Dillon because it is contract years for both those guys. That's why I like them so much. So that's where I was at.
All right. So 5 tips to dominate your league. And again, my tip on this is, again, make sure you cover yourself. Backup plan for a backup plan, add depth at every position. So make sure you don't just have one tight end, have multiple at that position to cover yourself. And if you're taking those dart throws, especially at the tight end position later, make sure you have tons of tight ends to cover yourself, 3, 4, whatever it may be, so that, maybe one of those dart throws has a good week here and there, and you're covering yourself all the time, maximizing your point value. So depth is crucial. Depth. I cannot express enough.
Right. So here's the tight ends that I got. I got all these guys. I think at pick 13 is when I got my first tight end, and then I got 2 more. So I ended up with Cole Kmet, Greg Dulcich, and Tyler Conklin. Okay. I'm like, all these guys on any given week could get you a touchdown. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. And that's all I need because, again, there's not that many points in the tight end position. I'm not going to achieve any sort of advantage in that position unless I've got Travis Kelce. And he was already gone by the time he came to my first pick, so it was irrelevant anyway. But, so that's, having those 3 guys, I think that's a pretty solid lineup of tight ends that one of them should do something every week. That's what I'm hoping for.
I've always of the mindset for tight end. If I get 10 points out of my tight end in PPR a week, I'm laughing because that's the position I don't really care about. It's just
right. That guy probably got you the touchdown. That's what you. That's why he got you 10.
That's it.
So yeah,
there you guys have it. I mean, best ball covered with Jim, one of the greatest to do it. He lives and breathes this stuff. So.
Yeah, and like I said, you can get a draft done in like a half hour to maybe 40 minutes. That's how long they take. Most of these platforms, very robust usage. The leagues fill up quickly and then it starts. It starts and then you run your draft. So it's a fun thing to do in the evening when you're just hanging out and dorking around on the computer. So
absolutely. All right, Jim. Well, thanks for being here as usual. Fantasy football in full flow. Make sure you guys secure the solution below 16 rounds. And we'll bring you back, Jim. Every week we'll try to get you on here. But best ball, we got you covered here. Take these tips, implement them, go dominate, and get the 16 round plus to get the full advantage. Thanks, Jim.
All right. Good luck, guys.
Talk soon. We're out.